Well, welcome back to the third installment here of the Joanna Lidback story. Joanna, we have learned all about your background so far, growing up in Massachusetts, making a move to Vermont, and lots of irons in the fire with your family, your role as a CFO, and of course, you and your husband's dairy farm, which is a constant, I'm sure, challenges and things to do every day. But we're going to end today talking about your role within the Global Farmer Network, because that's just one more thing that you have on your plate, and a great one at that. Joanna, when was it that you first got linked up with the Global Farmer Network?
So it's a good question, Duane, and I actually I'm gonna back up another year or two from when I first connected with the Global Farmer Network. So I've always felt strongly about putting our story out there as farmers. Because I've always said, I'm not the only one who says this, but if we don't tell our story, someone else will, and they won't get it right. So when I moved to Vermont, we started the farm. I started a blog because I wanted to share my experiences on the farm with life here, with friends back home that I knew I wouldn't get to see very often, if at all. So I started a blog, and later, after starting the blog, there had been a article in our local paper that's published once a week about organic farming. And while I support and appreciate organic farmers, the slant of the article I didn't agree with. And so I wrote a letter to the editor. And of course, the person who had kind of been interviewed was a very well-known organic farmer in my neck of the woods, who ultimately I had the chance to have a nice discussion with and work through some of these differences of opinions that we had, and it was an amazing opportunity to do so. And we actually, he and I, we were inducted into the Vermont Hall of Fame the same year. Him for a lifetime sort of notoriety, and me for an under 40 emerging leader recognition. So it was really cool. But so I wrote this letter to the editor. I published it on my blog, and lo and behold, it got seen by some eyes, some folks who needed a farmer to come down to Washington, D.C. and testify in front of a subcommittee. I think it was a subcommittee on biotech, foreign ag at that time, about the importance of biotechnology and why we need to, why it's important to keep our minds open to the possibilities of what we are able to do with biotechnology. And so I testified there, and that led to a couple other hearings. After I testified in front of the full Senate Ag Committee, I got a call from Mary Boat, who was looking for someone like me who was ready to stand up and speak up as a farmer. I wouldn't say, on behalf of farmers, certainly, but as a farmer, to share my perspective from, where I was, boots on the ground. And it's a pretty amazing experience. It led to a lot of different interviews with different organizations. The BBC World News was here one summer prior to Vermont with its GMO labeling law. Christian Science Monitor. I mean, it just really some neat opportunities with some kind of big name publications like that, as well as some local TV, never forget when our local TV station came out to do an interview around that time. And my middle boy, just thought it was sort of an everyday occurrence. Oh, are they coming back next week? Kind of thing. Do I get to be on TV with you next week? Kind of. So it's just, no. But anyway, so that so Mary called and, kind of explained at that time, the Global Farmer Network had a different name. It was known as the Truth About Trade and Technology. And certainly that spoke to me in a way that, yeah, we need to get some accurate information out there, information that's not slanted, that's not colored for someone's, sort of underlying agenda, that kind of thing. Some real life testimony from farmers, and different, all sorts of, issues and areas to cover.
What a neat story. And it sounds like that's been a common theme, of a lot of Global Farmer Network members are those that are willing to speak up, even if it ruffles the feathers of others, and being vocal when it comes to educating, but also sharing their stories. And what a neat opportunity for you to get to travel to DC, become a Global Farmer Network member, and all of the things that have transpired afterwards, including your role as a Global Farmer Network board member. Was that an elected position, or how did you land that role?
Not elected, but nominated, and then accepted. And yeah, that was, and that was to have the opportunity to sort of set the tone and the direction for the group. Shortly after, as a board member, we voted to change our name to the Global Farmer Network and really make a push to reach out beyond the boundaries of the U.S. and to really, because I think that there's a universal truth is that farmers everywhere face similar challenges, similar issues, have similar opportunities, and to sort of have the opportunity to share experiences, but also to amplify that voice, to elevate that voice so that they can make it better right where they are was just a wonderful chance for me. At one point in my life, I was interested in international agriculture, economics, but I kind of veered away from that and back toward business and back toward, working directly with people. But, so that was very attractive to me with the Global Farmer Network, and to have that opportunity to grow it into something that was global in nature, even more than it was.
So with your role as a board member, tell us a little bit more about what you do and how you serve in that capacity.
So I just actually took on being the treasurer of the group. And so with my economics background, I've always asked good questions, I guess, about the financials and the budgets. A lot of my consulting, we do budgeting and whatnot. And so I sort of have that background. So that's, kind of my specific strength area. Being on the executive group with the executive group now, it's sort of like this new level or layer of programming and planning and pushing for different events and collaborations, and that's been really, really cool. I wasn't able to travel to Mexico City this past summer for the annual meeting, but hopeful to make it to Canada next year, which is where we're going to have it in 2023. So that's basically, and again, just helping to fill in the dots, or fill in the blanks, and contributing my perspective to what we need to be thinking about. And it's been really kind of cool, because I think one other transition that I've seen happen from when I first started with the Truth About Trade and Technology till now is the fact that we're much more proactive about putting out our mission, putting out our perspective, and putting out information about what we're doing. We've learned that if we can open our doors, we can open our fences, if you will, take them down even maybe, that it creates this space for dialogue where, like you mentioned, I'm not afraid of ruffling feathers. I don't always like to ruffle feathers, right? But I do understand that once we get through that initial conflict, we're able to build so much more. And so that's been important to me, to make sure that we we're having the tough conversations, and we're at the table. Before, we were always reacting to something in the news and reacting to some study that's out there. And I think there's a lot more confidence now when we see, you know, a major media outlet put out, you know, questionable information. I think we have a bit more confidence to say, well, I think, you know, there's a good section of the population that's going to see through this and see through this for what it is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, you know, right, it's not about ruffling feathers, but it is about making sure your story is told by you, but also interacting with those that don't know your story, the consumers of the world, who we want to continue to talk to and educate so they understand what it is you're doing and why you do it. And like you mentioned earlier, you've had a blog, you take to social media to be vocal and share your story. And because of that, you are one of the Kleckner Award winners, which is named after Dean Kleckner and really highlights farmers who continue to do those tough things, have those tough conversations, and be advocates for agriculture and for farming. Tell us what that was like to win that award.
Well, it was a big surprise. You know, I don't do what I do to win awards. So whenever, you know, someone has stopped to recognize my efforts in that way, I am so grateful. I'm humbled. You know, there's a part of me that says, really? You know, I'm just me. I'm just doing what I do, you know. So I did the Partners in Agricultural Leadership Program through Farm Bureau. I'm a graduate of that program, and we had the opportunity to listen to a previous president from National Corn Growers Association, and he left us with the quote, "Success can be defined as your effect on that which affects you." And that has always sort of stuck with me for the past 15 years since I did that program, because, you know, I don't feel successful unless we've made something right. We've made something better. We've opened something up. And that's sort of what I focus on. But certainly, you know, being recognized by, you know, the award of the Kleckner Award, you know, has been just, you know, just to be in that, on that same page, you know, listed with some pretty amazing people. It's so humbling. Like I said, I'm very grateful for it.
And really well deserved. And we continue to see new Kleckner Award winners coming to the forefront each year. So it's certainly exciting and fun to see your name on that list of well-deserved farmers. But Joanna, as we get closer to wrapping things up here today, I feel like we're just getting to know who you are. But you obviously write your blog, you post regularly on social media. For those of our viewers who want to continue following along with your story, share with us some of those links and handles where folks can find you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah. I had someone tell me once, I'm easy to find out there. So I have tried to keep it easy. If my handle on Twitter is @JoannaLidback, same thing for Instagram. On Facebook, I have a personal page. I also have the farm at Wheeler Mountain, and I'm also the person behind Adirondack Farms, Facebook, and Adirondack Farms on Instagram as well. So that's where you can find me.
Fantastic. And you can also find the Global Farmer Network on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Global Farmer Network. Joanna, such a pleasure getting to hear your story today. And thank you for continuing to be an advocate for agriculture.
Thank you, Delaney.